So for the bus trip we took, first we took a bus down to SA, but we flew back. So for the it cost us 25,000 total. I don't know if I should share a breakdown.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so from Nairobi to Dar es Salaam, it's 4,500, and then 4,500 Kenya shillings. Dar es Salaam to Tunduma was around 3,000 Kenya shillings. 3,000 Kenya shillings. And then from Tunduma, which is at the Tanzania-Zambia border, to Lusaka was around 3,500. And then the most expensive part was Lusaka to Johannesburg, which was 10,000. But that's after crossing 2 countries, Lusaka, Botswana, and Johannesburg. So with our 25,000, we were in South Africa.
Hello and welcome to African Real Estate TV. My name is Jael Care, and of course we always have amazing conversations to do with real estate with individuals from across the board. Now, I know you have taken throughout the years so many screenshots of places that you want to go, vacations that you have in your mind. You know, your bucket list is full of places. But today I want to introduce you to 2 ladies who have not only taken the screenshots, but they actually lived it. I don't know if they did take screenshots, but the point is they have gone through and they have already lived it. So karibu sana Wendy and Tess, I am so glad to have you here. So I'll just ask you to introduce yourselves, tell us who you are and what you do, and then we'll start from there. I'll start with you, Wendy.
Thank you. Thank you, Jael, for this opportunity. As you said, my name is Wendy. I'm a lawyer. I just graduated from Strathmore, studied law there. Apart from that, I love traveling. I love experiencing new cultures, and I'm very passionate about Africa. So yeah, that's me, and I'm here to share with you my experience traveling in Africa, experiencing new cultures, and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Karibu sana. Tess, go ahead.
All right, thank you so much. First of all, hi everyone, my name is Tess. I am a psychologist, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm also a travel enthusiast, but more than that, I'm very passionate about people, organizations, and more than that, leadership. So I'm really happy to be here, and I can't wait to just join in this conversation and see what it is we shall unravel about our lovely adventure.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So you both have mentioned that you are interested and passionate about traveling and all the good stuff. How did you guys get so passionate to the extent that, you know, how did your passion to travel grow? We'll still just go back and forth. Start with Wendy.
Okay. I think for me, it started when I was in high school. Personally, I've grown up in a family where people travel a lot, people working outside the country. So my dad got his first move to Nigeria, and then that was my first international trip. And yeah, it was really amazing. Like, Nigeria is one country I'd say everyone should travel to. The culture is really amazing. The people are nice people. So it just developed my interest to, you know, explore other African countries and just see what we have in Africa, the different aspects. And yeah, I'd say that's how my journey started till now.
At what age were you when you went to Nigeria?
My first trip, I was 15. Yeah, I was 15.
Tess?
Yeah, okay, so for me, I think mine didn't start as young because a big part of my family, born, bred, raised in Nairobi, Kenya. So I think for me, I've done a couple of bus trips. And so, of course, by the time I'm making the decision to go on this bus trip, I didn't reference my trips before. So I think the first time I traveled alone outside of Kenya was when I was 21. And what made that trip particularly more interesting was because it was during COVID. And now during COVID, there was no in and out travel of Kenya or counties and everything. But then here I was, dedicated, resilient, passionate. We're going to go to Uganda and we're going to go to a country that I've never been to. At the time, you know, all of this documentation at the border. So I think for me, I just like to do new things. I like to do different things. So this for me is just another new and a different thing that I did.
Wow, okay. So I keep saying Africa is so beautiful just from the things that, as I mentioned, we are a real estate platform. So we get to get information on so many things across Africa because our niche is Africa. So, and you see so many beautiful places that I keep saying, oh my goodness, I should go there. Then before you realize, you're like, I should go there as well. I should. So your list continues growing and you haven't even explored one. But let's get to the amazing trip you guys had. I just want you to tell me all about it. You can go back and forth. If Wendy forgets a piece, Tess, you can join in. Don't worry. Tell us about the trip you took from Kenya to South Africa.
So let me start.
Yes.
And I only reflected on this, I think a week ago when I was going through my Twitter, my ex bookmarks, and I actually had bookmarked a road trip to SA, but that was way before we actually took the trip. So we did have a conference that was happening in Joburg, and so here we are deciding, okay, are we going? Are we not going? And then I remember someone reaching out to me and telling me, baby, have you thought about going by road? I'm like, going by road? Are you crazy? That's like 6 days. What? No, cannot be me. And then Wendy, because Wendy is subtle but always with the good ideas, comes onto the platform and says, you guys will take the road. And I'm like, Wendy, are you serious? Like, are you serious? She's like, yeah, let's do it. And since then, I actually I had lost my phone. So I was going through our charts. And so the day we said we're doing it, then that's the day it started. So from that, and now Wendy can continue. So from there was, okay, finding people who had done it before. So that's YouTube. So I'm a reader. Wendy is like videos. She's more visual. So I do the reading, Wendy does the watching. So we'd meet, and then Wendy would tell me, okay, Tess, I watched this video and I saw this person did this, this, and this. And then I say, okay, me, I read, and this person said this, this, and this. Wendy, you can continue.
Oh, before Wendy picks it, you said you were going for a trip. Could you just, for context sake, update our audience? How did the two of you meet? And yeah.
Okay, so Wendy and I met in last year, actually. Or was it this year? Last year, November. We had been serving in the same organization called ISEC. And so Wendy at the time was doing marketing and I was in charge of alumni relations. And so by virtue of working together in the same team, that's how we met.
Wendy, you can
Simple and clear.
Yeah, I think she forgot to mention. So we were going for actually an ISEC conference in Johannesburg. So, and I was actually put in charge of the planning. So I was supposed to create a budget to make sure everyone goes. So I did the flights, and damn, flying in Africa is expensive. It was really expensive. It was like 80,000 for a return, 80 to 100 at the time we were checking. So I was like, wow, okay, this is a lot. If you add in like the accommodation expenses, your shopping, exploring, it's like 150,000 plus. So I was like, wow, yeah. And then I remember checking YouTube, and okay, personally, as she said, I'm a video person. I'm that person who used to, as I said, I developed my interest traveling in Africa a while back. So I used to follow a lot of like travel vloggers who just traveled Africa. So I'd seen like, I saw this person who had done this trip down. I've seen these people who also like do trips in Africa. You go to like South Africa, up Mozambique, Tanzania. So I was like, this is actually a good experience. So I remember I shared it to the team, and it's a team of like 11 people. And I think about 4 people were like, I'm down. And then, yeah, so we thought, yes, it's cool. We made a group, we're now planning. And then slowly by slowly, people kept quitting. They're like, I'm sorry, I can't go. And then the other week, another person is like, they can't go. So it's just me and Tess. And I'm telling Tess, if you quit on me,
she is your last hope.
right? I think we had to like make a promise to each other. We're like, there's no going back. Because now we're like way ahead, and booking a flight now is like more expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was now Tess against the world, he said. And doing such a wow, it's a wholesome experience. I see guys commenting, they're like, oh, I want to do this now, but it takes a lot of planning. I think at least that time for me, I had just finished my uni, so I had a lot of time. So I remember days I'd just sit and you're just watching videos. I literally watched, because they're like vloggers who used to do videos like my bus trip from Tanzania to Johannesburg, and then they document every piece of it. So I used to like watch every part of it. I'm like, okay, you'll stop here. The bus stops, you can get water, you sleep at this time, this is the route you'll use. So it just takes a lot of research, and that's one thing that helped us. But it reached a point where we're like 2 days to the first bus from Nairobi. And now you still feel like you don't have enough. And I remember telling Tess, because now you're like, yeah, we have to go, we've booked, but you feel like, do I have enough knowledge or information? And we just had to reach that point where we're like, what happens. And that's one thing that we learned even in the trip. Like, you can plan, but you won't plan for everything. You might say, I'll reach Tanzania 8 p.m., the bus breaks down. So you just have to be a plan it and also a win it person in this journey. So there's a lot to talk about. I think before I continue, I'll hand it over to Tess to continue.
Not to actually talk about like now the planning bit of it. So it was okay, fine. So what we want to go to. So of course, through the readings, through the watching, you're able to know, okay, so there's these two alternative routes that we can use. So in our initial plan, the plan was to go to Zimbabwe, but then when we got to Lusaka, the bus was going to Botswana. So yeah, so that's something we would not have been able to anticipate before.
So that is from where to where?
So, okay, so there are two alternative routes, right? So from Tanzania to Zambia, Zambia is the center. So from Zambia is when you decide how you want to go. Do you pass through Botswana? Will you go through Zimbabwe? But then eventually you can go down to Namibia or go down to SA. Yeah. So the initial plan for us was when we get to Zambia, we can do like a turn and then go to Victoria Falls and everything. So the planning of it is literally having to figure out, you kind of have to know the towns that you're traveling through, not just the country. You can't say you're coming to Kenya. Are you coming to Eldoret? Are you going to Nairobi? Are you going to Kisumu?
Right.
So it was like, okay, so first we had to work backwards. So it was like, we need to be in Joburg by, the conference was starting, I think a Wednesday. So that was our starting point. So now we have to work backwards. So if you need to be in Joburg by this day, we start working backwards. I literally have a notebook that it's like a pie chart. It's like what is it called? A drop down hierarchy of sorts. How much does it cost? Which bus are you gonna take? What time does that bus leave? All right, Dar es Salaam to the border of Zambia. So at the time, we thought, there's just, oh my God, like, yeah, so you first name all the countries, name the number of hours, figure out the prices, and then convert them into Kenyan shillings. And then you have a total estimate of the number of hours, the amount of money you need, and the countries you need to pass through. That was step one.
Wow. Before you went, you started, the day you left Nairobi, how long had it taken you after everyone had dropped off and then you guys made the pact that it's you against the world? How long did it take you to now get all those nitty-gritty planning details together before you left?
I think it's, honestly, if I was being honest, I think it was, everyone has to do their own bit of research. So I think if I were to cumulatively put the amount of time it took to gather all that information seriously, was like 2 weeks. So like 1 week is the information you need, and then the other week is now actually the items you're working, and then another week of fine-tuning the plan again, and then having these final conversations of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, what's our budget, how much do we want to use outside of what it is we know we're supposed to spend, booking flights. So I'd say 2 weeks at most.
Wendy, you can go ahead.
Something that also helped us, I've just come to realize it, cultural exchange. So when you're a member of ISEC, if you utilize the experience well, you're able countries, what really also helped us through this journey. So I remember Tess and I looking like, is there ISEC in Zambia? Is there someone you can call in Zambia from ISEC? Because yeah, as a community, they'd always be ready to put through for you. So I think it's one thing that everyone should consider, just forming connections in different countries. And sometimes you host them in Kenya, sometimes they host you there. So yes, we left Nairobi, Dar es Salaam. We met ISEC in Tanzania. They actually picked us up, hosted us, got us a bus for the next trip to now the border. And then after that, in Zambia, we had a contact person, but not an ISECer. So we're kind of winging it. I think one thing, the whole journey, all the borders were very easy, except that border. I think just have your passport, yellow fever, COVID, and you pass. But now when we reached Zambia, wow, first of all, it was 11 p.m. And we're like, as Tess said, we had calculated our time. So we knew we can't spend a day here at Lusaka because we'll arrive late at the conference. So our first priority was cross the border and get a bus. And then we got these people who obviously said, bus to Johannesburg, bus to Johannesburg. So we believed them and we went with them to the border point. And now here they tried to con us money. They actually gave us the currency. And I was shocked that the Zambia currency is actually stronger than ours. But apparently I was told they kind of like overhype it because the economy is not that strong. So they gave us just like 1,500 Zambian kwacha each. They just put it between our passports. So now I'm looking at it, I'm like, hey, why? And the guy's like, you'd never pass this border. And it's true, we're seeing it because now people are being told, who are you going to? Where are you going? I think there are like a lot of people going into Zambia because of the mining. So there are a lot of like illegal immigrants. So there they gave us the money and they're like, give this guy. And I'm like, hey, I convert it. I'm like 15,000. And then I asked Tess, she's also been given the same. So I'm like, if we gave this guy 30,000, where were we going to like repay these other guys who gave us? So one thing that we learned is just like be confident. Don't go there and just start being like, sad and all. Just be confident, believe in what you're saying. Just say you have your papers. At least it helps. But yeah, just be cautious when you're going through that. Ensure you have all the documentation. From there, it was pretty smooth up to South Africa. We reached the Botswana border. Wow, I think that was the best border point we crossed. It was so clean. The infrastructure was amazing. And okay, personally, I said, Tess was so angry at me the whole journey because I'm so passionate about Africa. So the whole time we'd pass like Botswana, I'm telling her, do you know this is the least corrupt country in Africa? She's like, shut.
No, let me tell you, annoyed is a big word. I think I was just not expecting all that information about Africa, but
You
I'm
got
actually
your
ready.
own personal tour guide, with information just to update you.
Yes, let me know what happens in this country, what happens in this country, and I really love it. Now I'm passionate about Africa because of that trip.
Yeah. It was
Nice.
amazing. Botswana, the border point was clean. The people were very nice, efficient. Took us like 20 minutes we were in. And the culture there was also really amazing. Because Botswana, they're mainly like pastoralists. So they really take care of their cows. So we had like 3 stops where we had to alight and then you clean your feet, like disinfect your feet. Pretty interesting.
Wow. Okay. Wait. You stop, you clean your feet, and then you get back to the bus and continue.
Yeah.
What's the essence again?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's something like diseases you might transfer to the animals, but it's not hard. It's just like we have like a place you step, and then I think it cleans you, then you continue. Even our luggage had to be moved, affected. Really nice.
Okay.
And then yeah, we made it to South Africa. At the border, we reached the Limpopo border. I think we
Yes, I
reached
love
at
your
around
expressions.
we
There is a
started.
story there.
We literally got
Yeah.
to the border at I think 8:45, and these guys are making us run. So the border for Botswana to SA, the Limpopo border, it's like a valley. It's hilly. So these guys are making us run. I'm thinking, why are you guys making us like really hurry up to the border? We get to the immigration for SA, and these guys close the office when we are there, and it's 9 p.m. They're like, we don't, SG, the office is closed at 9 p.m. So we're like, but we have children, we have mothers, they're like, no, we have to wait until tomorrow, 6 a.m. And this is after like almost getting robbed in Zambia one night ago. I mean, I was just like, hey, it was just yet another day, yet another night, sleeping in a bus, and just hearing the children asking their moms, for food. And Wendy and I only having like popcorns and crisps and like energy drinks. It was a bit crazy for sure. So we had to sleep in the bus. Actually, we didn't have an option. It was an experience for sure.
But it was fun. Like the people in the bus were really fun. I remember. I think one thing I've come to appreciate is how friendly Africans are. So even in the bus, like people were just making fun. And there was this guy who came, he was like a pastor, and it felt different. So there it was actually really nice. And people were so like excited to see him. He's like, praise the Lord. And everyone is just responding so happily. It was interesting. So just at least that made it easier for us through the journey. Okay. So we kept saying this with Tess during the journey. Like you think, oh, taking a road trip, you're going to see so many things, so many amazing sights. But we were so shocked that we came to notice that Kenya is actually very developed. Like you'd pass Nairobi, you reach Nakuru, you see a town, nice buildings, go to Eldoret, Kisumu. After that, when we entered Tanzania, like majority of it was just like mountains and mountains, then one small town, which is very small. And then you continue to mountains and mountains, same thing in Zambia. So that was really shocking for us. Made us realize just how far ahead our country is. The thing we came to appreciate was how big these countries are. I think Tanzania was the biggest country we covered. Yo, and there's so much land in Tanzania that's like unoccupied. I think it actually took us 2 days in Tanzania before we crossed over. So that was pretty insane. Yeah.
Well, how do you, which border is it between Tanzania and, did you say Zambia? From Tanzania, you went to Zambia, right?
Yeah, we used the Tunduma-Akonde border.
Ah, okay. I've been on a road trip from Nairobi to Dar es Salaam. It's the longest I've ever gone, and I was like, yes, Lord, I'm done. But you guys are challenging me to push it forward.
You should. But now Dar es Salaam to Tunduma. Tunduma is just after Mbeya. So wow. I think was it 18 hours?
Yeah, it was, and I remember the road was just not it. The road was from Tunduma to Lusaka was actually I think 18 hours because we arrived in the evening at around like 8 p.m. or something or thereabout. Yeah, it was about 18 hours actually.
Yeah. Wait, sorry, the road in Tanzania was okay, but the road from Tunduma to Lusaka wasn't the best. I mean, it was very narrow and there were so many trucks. I think Zambia has a lot of, is it oil? So so many oil trucks and it's just like so narrow. I'm like, oh my God.
You're about to fall down. Let me not die in a foreign country.
Right. But
and then I remember the bus. Sorry, Wendy, go on.
Just go on. I wanted to talk about the buses, but you can do it also.
Yeah, I mean, I think the buses for the bus we took from the border of Nakonde to Tunduma to now Lusaka. first of all, the road is not great. And then more than that, leg space. I'm generally short and I was struggling. So now you can imagine Wendy, and Wendy's like, I don't even know how tall. So the bus is super small, and then it's hot. You know how you watch African movies and it's hot and there are children and there's all kinds of things being sold in the bus. That's exactly what it felt like being in that bus. But then it was also the part of the journey was the most foreign. It was a part of the journey that we didn't know anyone. The language, after that point, the language completely changed. Like after that border, no one speaks anything close to what you speak other than English, you know? But then we get to Lusaka, and I think for us, the bus of the year or the bus that took it home was the bus from Lusaka to Joburg. Because that bus, it felt like you're in a plane. You could tell for sure you're going to Joburg. Like you could tell you are moving countries. So that was the best. There was like a movie and there was food and there was like enough leg space and all of these things. The people were great, very kind, very generous. Also it helps when you're moving between borders in a bus. It makes the process more seamless because there are people to take care of the things you get me to do while you're in the bus, as opposed to if you have to do it by yourself, like what happened when we were in Zambia. We had to leave a bus and cross by ourselves. And that's what created room for all of these challenges. Yeah.
I'm just, digesting it all. Now we wanted to talk about, you've spoken about the bus experience and you've covered a little bit about, the cultural differences, the language and your experience on that. You mentioned about the narrow path in Zambia. Was it Zambia or Lusaka? Yes, the narrow roads. How were the other roads of the other countries that you went to?
Maybe let me start. So I think of course, from Nairobi to Arusha, to the border of, what is it called, Namanga. I think the road was pretty great nonetheless. Then Namanga, Arusha, perfect. Arusha, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania has really great roads, even though we're taking 2 days to travel across. It's because the town is big, not because the roads are bad. So it's very, very good roads. It's beautiful. And then now, so of course Lusaka, now from the border to Lusaka, the roads, I honestly, maybe Wendy can correct me, by the time we were getting to civilization, for lack of a better word, like when you're coming from the outskirts of the town into the town, I don't really remember what the road system was like. Maybe you can comment on that. When we're inside Zambia, like narrowing into Lusaka, what were the roads like?
Yeah, I think, as you said, from Nakonde at the border to Lusaka, the road wasn't nice. It was the narrow road we were talking about. But from Lusaka all the way up, it was nice. I think, they've tried to shape up the transport sector, in Zambia. So even their buses from Lusaka, very nice buses. The bus stations are very organized. Like we have actually one central bus station. You can get a bus to anywhere. If you're going to Malawi, if you're going to Johannesburg, if you're going to Zimbabwe. And then something I also realized, for the buses that go from Lusaka to Johannesburg, so it's not only the bus we used, there are several buses and they work together. So if it's let's say Easy Coach and Guardian and Modern Coast, they say Modern Coast leaves every Wednesday and Sunday, Easy Coach leaves on Fridays, and then the fare is standard. So it's the same price, 1,500 kwacha. So that was really interesting to just see how the transport sector is modernized. And then also they have their matatus. There's some matatus that are Mercedes brand. I was like, wow.
Okay.
Which was interesting. Yeah. Those Mercedes vans?
Yes.
Some of the matatus are that type. So that was nice. From there, the road was nice all the way to Livingstone. I think after Livingstone, that's where we crossed this bridge. It's called, I think it's Kazungula Bridge. It's so beautiful. It's at the border of Botswana and Zambia. A really big, beautiful bridge. just so fast. I think we took one photo, but not really the best photo of it, but you can check it out. That was also really nice. Yeah, so for me, that's what I liked about Zambia. The transport system was really efficient, and the roads post Lusaka, and also in Livingstone, because Livingstone is also a big city for them for tourism with the Victoria Falls. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes it Kenya. Let's start from where you left from. Kenya, Tanzania, Zambia, and then Botswana, then South Africa, right? That was your route. That makes it 5 countries. So together, you have gone together to 5 countries. So individually, how many African countries have you been to?
For me, it's 2. So other than the ones you've mentioned, it would be Uganda and Rwanda.
Wendy?
For me, it's apart from those, it's also 2. No, it's 3 if stopovers count. So yes,
They do.
Nigeria. Wait, we actually did 6 countries with Tess because coming back we flew. Okay, we used Malawi Airlines, so we flew to Malawi. Then from Malawi we came to Nairobi. So we did 6
countries.
Yeah, but I've done Nigeria. My village is in Busia at the border of Kenya and Uganda. So I'd count Uganda.
I see what you did there, but it does count. So with the countries that you have been to, especially let's just conclude on the journey that you had. How many days did it take you to get from Nairobi to eventually South Africa?
4. It was 4 days. Okay, it took us 5 days. One day we went to Tanzania. And then the other 4 days, I'd say 4 days on the road. One thing is Tanzania doesn't allow night travel. So we had to like leave in the morning. So you couldn't travel at night. So it also added up the travel days.
So Tanzania is the only country where you had to, you took a rest, spent over, and then the rest you were on the road?
No, not really. Because in Lusaka, so we arrived around 9:10. Between the chaos of us being told that there was no bus, that the bus was full, and the next bus was coming after 2 days, we had to figure out a place to sleep. So we found a motel downtown, a place to rest for the night. And this was like, and then even down was not available. We really had to go. It sounds like a movie. Like you go into every motel, you knock, you ask. First of all, you open, you find a bunch of 5 guys drinking their beers. The place looks like a bit crazy. You're 2 women, and you ask, is there space? They tell you no. You check the next one. They tell you no. You check the next one. They tell you no. At one point, we were ready to just sleep at the bus station because the next bus is at 3 a.m. It's almost 11. We're like, so even whatever it is we got, we were just like, listen, we just want a place where we can take a shower, put our heads down for a bit, and then wake up in the morning and then take the bus. So Lusaka was the next place that we had a place to rest. The other time was in the bus or were in transit.
So my next question is, from the countries that you have gone to and now you have, say, their restaurants or accommodation facilities, how can you compare them to the ones in Kenya?
I think for me, I'd start with the Dar es Salaam. I think in Dar, I think housing is very affordable because like as in Dar es Salaam, we stayed in the ISEC house, and it's literally like a whole house, like a really nice house. How do I call it? Like a mansionette, separate mansionette, own compound. And this house is owned by, so how ISEC works, there's like ISEC in different universities. So this was ISEC in IFM, a university in Tanzania, and they can afford their own house. I was like, wow. Because here in Kenya, I tell you for free, the ISEC in Kenya office doesn't have a house. Because sometimes we had one and then it got too expensive to manage it. So that's one thing we noticed. I think in Zambia, I don't think I'd give an accurate rating, but I think it was quite affordable, but maybe it's where we stayed, so I wouldn't really give a rating. But for South Africa, I'd say, wow, I think South Africa, the housing is also really nice and advanced. The only problem we had was the load shedding, but the houses were really nice, and modern. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with what Wendy said about Dar. I think Dar is very, it gives a lot of coast vibes. So even the homes there, where they're located and everything, it gives a lot of coast vibes. And then when it comes to Lusaka, actually before, if we didn't get the motel that we did next to the bus station, then we had actually Googled a backpackers like a lounge, no, not a lounge, sorry, like a motel for backpackers. And as of the rates that they were giving us, it was pretty affordable. And then even looking at the pictures and everything, I mean, we didn't get to see it, but if we did decide to go there, I don't think it would have been a bad option. The only reason we didn't want to go there was because of the distance, having to travel back to get the bus in the morning. For me, I think what surprised me most about SA, of course, SA's infrastructure is it's very modern, like very, very modern. And I think what caught me completely by surprise that even their slum areas have a lot of structure. By the time we found a bad road, we really had to look for it. It's like the last day, and we had really just trying to find like a road that has potholes. So even the low income areas have structure. Their homes, even if they're from low income areas, it's still stone. It's still there's still a lot of structure in SA in terms of the housing. And then even for the BNB that we got, I mean, it's just very modernized. It's super unsafe, but very modernized.
I think a funny story we had was we met the other teammates from ISEC. So I think we're around like 20 of us. And then on the last day we split. And one of the members was like, he'll get us a hotel in Soweto. So first of all of us were like, okay, let's try it. But I remember midway to the journey, I'm like, this is the Soweto slum we usually hear about. So I was imagining like a Kibera scenario, like very dingy, bad houses. But when we reached Soweto, like all of us were like, wow, this is Soweto. And then we even went to, like, there's this attraction called the Orlando Towers. So it's like, I think it used to be an electricity tower, but now it's a tourist attraction. It's really high. And when you're up there, you get like a whole view of Soweto. And we couldn't believe it because Soweto was actually looking a bit like Jamhuri, Kilimani. And we're like, wow.
Really?
Because what we see on the media, yeah, it was very, very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Langata, honestly, like from an aerial view.
So that
how
was
it's
interesting. Like,
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, because in the media perception is it's where we have, polythene houses that are wow. Okay, so just getting that perspective is quite something. How much money did you spend on your travel, especially on the transportation? Because the other things are based on someone, say shopping, whatever, but on transportation and accommodation for the two places, how much did it cost you?
okay, I think I'll go. So for the bus trip we took, okay, first we took a bus down to AC, but we flew back. So for the it cost us 25,000 total. I don't know if I should share a breakdown.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so from Nairobi to Dar es Salaam, it's 4,500, and then 4,500 Kenya shillings. Dar es Salaam to Tunduma was around 3,000 Kenya shillings. 3,000 Kenya shillings. And then from Tunduma, which is at the Tanzania-Zambia border, to Lusaka was around 3,500. And then the most expensive part was Lusaka to Johannesburg, which was 10,000 but that's after crossing 2 countries, Lusaka, Botswana, and Johannesburg. So with our 25,000, we were in South Africa. We didn't spend much in that it's Lusaka to Johannesburg.
Oh,
That's where we
yes.
paid 10,000, yeah, 10,500. So that was the most expensive part, but we passed through Botswana, so it made sense. And then on accommodation, we didn't spend much because in Tanzania, we were hosted by our friends. At the Zambia border, Tanzania border, we reached at we finished immigration and everything at midnight, booked a bus for 3 a.m. So we just slept in the bus. Good thing there were other passengers in the bus. So I think it's a normal thing. And then from Nakonde to Lusaka, that's when we slept in Lusaka. Paid 1,500 for 2 people, which was also pretty affordable. Then after that, straight to Johannesburg. So I think the journey would cost us 25,000. Even the food we split. So actually with food and transport and hotel, 25,000 plus minus 5.
Yeah.
Because I think even in SA, other than where the conference was, like post the conference, we paid only we paid because I think we're there for almost three nights post the conference. And one of the nights we were hosted, and then we had to pay for 2, but it was also just very affordable. It was almost 1,000 or 2 Gs per night per person, and the place was very modern and very safe.
How much was it to come back? Because I know you said you flew back. How much is it to fly back from SA to Kenya?
The flight was 39 Gs, I'm not wrong, at 9,000 Kenyan shillings.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
But I think because I realized there's some people maybe the bus trip is too long for you. So one thing I came to realize, we had a friend who did this during the conference. So he took a bus to Dar es Salaam and then booked a ticket from Dar es Salaam to SA. And crazy enough, it's actually half the price. So I also did this month.
It is.
The same route. Yeah, the 39,000 is a return ticket from Dar es Salaam to South Africa. It's pretty crazy.
I wonder what makes the difference.
I think it's because of SADC, the Southern African Development Community. So they have their own.
Yeah.
Which is shocking because in East Africa, it's not that cheap. You going to Dar es Salaam on a plane.
It's still a little bit expensive considering from Nairobi to Dar. Yeah. Huh, okay. The thing that I always ask, how do you pack for such a trip? So that you don't overpack, considering you're going to be on so many borders, and you don't underpack just in case you need things that you may need. How did you guys pack for your trip?
Okay, maybe let me start. So, I mean, can you believe it? I underpacked, but I still had, when I was leaving Kenya, I believed that I had packed enough, but I actually came back to Kenya with clothes I had not worn. So I think the packing for us was, you actually underestimate, because you see in your mind when you're parking, you assume the bus will stop, you'll enter a motel, you'll shower, you'll change, then you'll transition to the whatever. So when parking, of course, I think one thing that I realized was you need to have alternative outfits. Pack a random dress, because you never know. Because when we were in Tanzania, there was a dinner party, that we were not anticipating to be invited for, but then there we were. When you're in essays, oh, we're going for suji work. So I think it's important to have alternative outfits, but then also to carry essentials. So have a raincoat. You never know. You just never know what could be happening. comfortable clothes as well, open shoes, and then of course your trip days are not as busy, especially for us because we're in transit, we're in traveling for leisure. Our time on the road was very like um there wasn't actually like we're stopping, we're chilling, then we're doing something. It's like we're stopping because we need to rest or we need to do this because the bus leaves in the morning. So in that way, our choice of items was very minimal, and the clothes that we wore were very minimal. Yeah, and then you get to wherever it is you're going. Of course, you need clothes for the conference. But then after that, just the whole idea is pack essentials, pack enough clothes. But the idea that what you think in your head is not going to be the same as what happens on the ground. That was my experience. And actually, it would be interesting to hear what Wendy's experience was now going back to SA again this month. Did you go through the same experience of having to pack clothes that you didn't wear?
Wow, nostalgia. So packing is hard. Like personally, I'm an overpacker. Like I'm that person with
Me
a big
too.
suitcase. So I remember that that night I was so stressed. I'm looking at my clothes. I'm like, how are these going to fit? Because I think it's important to talk about the kind of bag you should carry. Most of us, okay, Tess and I had, what's it called, Tess? It's like
A duffel bag.
yeah, I think you've gotten it. So I
Yeah.
think that's the best bag you can use. Most people will assume you need like a hiking bag. But like when I was buying my bag, I remember consulting it's going to be heavy without the clothes. So you need a really light bag. And then how you pack your clothes, how to pack like guys in the army. Army guys like really fold their clothes. Yeah, exactly. So you have to like learn that, just roll it and then put it in your bag well, stuff them up. And yes, also overpacking, because yes, both Tess and I still came back with so many clothes we hadn't worn. So just think about it well before you pack. Like, of course, like jeans, tights. And when we reached AC, like at the hotel, you can also just give the hotel guys money to wash your clothes and then you can wear them again. So this time around, just for context, I did the trip again, but I went to Dar es Salaam and then I flew from Dar es Salaam to Tanzania, to South Africa, sorry. And then I don't know why I thought that I don't need to like underpack. I can just go with my suitcase. Hey, I suffered. Like by the time I was in South Africa, my hand was like, you can't do this anymore. Because no one will help you carry your bag. Like at Namanga, you have to alight, remove your bag, get it checked, put it back. It was a lot. So I'd still advise like don't underpack, don't overpack. And I think this is not only if you're backpacking, even if you're just traveling, like I've just come to learn. Yeah, don't overpack, even if you're flying. Sometimes you want to buy things and now you have so many clothes that you have worn. I remember Tess and I reaching the airport and we're flying back. It was just seeing us guys with like small suitcases. We're like, wow. So
Must
when
be
you're in your big
nice.
suitcase, you're looking like you're crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, but
So that's
Go on. Sorry. Okay, yeah. I think one thing I was gonna say that Wendy suggested. So for me, so how Wendy had I'll call it a duffel bag, and then like a small cute pass and a backpack, because she had her laptop, but then I had my camera. So I also had a backpack that kind of had like many pockets. So it's I think essentially you always need to have your documents on you. So you always need to have like a bag that is always on you, like the one that doesn't get thrown into the back of the bus or everything. So for both of us, it was like our handbags and our backpacks, because her backpack had her laptop, my backpack had my camera. And so I couldn't let my camera just be thrown away somewhere. But then also something we had to learn is I couldn't like just keep removing my camera wherever it is we were, because of security reasons. Like you don't know who is just there looking and saying, okay, that these two ladies who are traveling alone, or one of them has a camera, one has a laptop. It's also like trying to be low key and trying not to attract too much attention to ourselves. So one thing that I think really helps was carrying an extra bag when you're traveling that's foldable, because I don't know why clothes gain volume after you worn them. They just don't fit the same way. So when we like when you were coming, it was fitting. Now you bring back, it doesn't want to fit. So now Wendy had like an extra bag that was foldable, which made it easier. So if we wanted to like shop and do stuff like that, we could put them into that other bag as well. What dictates how you park? I think for us, one thing we underestimated is, you see, if you're not gonna be touring, then you don't have a lot of change of outfits. Because you tour, come back to the hotel, change, put on another outfit. But if you're within the same place, your clothes, you can use two pairs of clothes, get them laundried, and use them for 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's something else that I also noticed. Yeah, that's it.
That's very valuable for, especially now that guys are going into December and people will be traveling and they're still struggling with the packing issue. You mentioned something about having your documents on you. Can we just briefly, as we almost wind up, mention about the visa and the documentation that you had earlier mentioned, but we didn't really cover that. Did the Kenyan visa allow you to go through all the countries? Did you require other documentations? Yes.
So of course the usual, your passport. So lucky enough for us, as Kenyans, every country we went through was visa free. So we didn't need a visa for any of the countries we went through. So it's just in, out, stamp, immigration, done. Yellow fever is I was basically saying the invitation letter, but because at the border for Zambia, that was something I'm very insistent on, like a physical copy of it. But I think in hindsight, it's I think important to mention it is you'll be going in the countries that you're visiting. Like you need to know that, you need to have it on log and not an assumption. But then also, it also helps because for us at the border, we just said that we were in transit to SA. But even though we said we're in transit to SA, they still wanted to know, in Lusaka, who would we be staying with before we transit. So I think those are the most important documents that we needed to have. I don't think we had any other challenges in terms of documentation. Unless I've left out anything, Wendy. Sorry.
I think not really. I just insist on where you're going, like from Namanga, Zambia, easy. They have to know, like, you have a contact. They'd even ask you to call if they need to, like, who'll be hosting you during. Just make sure you have that.
Just to wind up, two things. What is something that really surprised you while you were on your journey? And what is something you look forward to when you're planning for your next trip? Do you want to start, Wendy?
Wow, something that surprised me. Okay, I can't think of one. I had a random one that came, but it wasn't about our trip, but I found out about it during the trip. So we're talking with someone about Namibia, and they mentioned that in Namibia, if something gets lost, like you lose your phone, they announce, like you go to a radio station and you tell them I've lost my phone, what, and then the radio station announces.
What?
Like,
really?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Is it the national radio station?
I think it must be like a national one. So there's a Kenyan, it actually happened to her. Like she lost her phone and then she's going to report. They're like, go to the radio. Crazy.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Right. Something I look forward to. I think visiting more places and like documenting it well. Like, yeah, I think something that Tess and I regret, at that time, like we didn't have the best phones and everything, so we couldn't take the best videos of the views we had and everything. So just being able to document really matters, like, yeah, and for anyone who takes that trip, because wow, like even for yourself, you can just do a video one day, you'll show your kids and you're like, yeah, I went to South Africa by road. So just documenting more of such experiences.
Yeah. which country are you planning to go to next?
Damn, I've just come back.
Well, it is
I've just
never too early.
Wow. But I want to redo Zambia. I didn't do the Victoria Falls, so I want to do Zambia,
Mm,
Victoria Falls. But I'm also looking, I got an invite for Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, like a trip, all that. See. So looking forward to that.
nice. All right. Yes, Tess.
Okay. So, wow. I mean, I think what surprised me one is, first of all, I think what surprised me most is Wendy and I. Um, yeah, I mean, I think, would be faced with such weird moments, but then they kind of just didn't phase us. Like I don't ever remember a point of, I think we're just we that really surprised me. Let me just say, like how we handled the whole trip, even how we got to AC, got back. It was a proper, like it was proper. So that really surprised me. Um, and then I think more than that would be, you don't realize that even when you're traveling, you have to pay attention to how you eat. Like you're constantly on the road. So that's something no one prepped us for, which is you actually have to try and maintain your balanced diet. You kind of have to maintain how you're eating. Because I think many of us take short road trips, so you eat badly, but then you'll be fine because you're going home after one day. But for us, we're constantly on the road for 4 days. So how we were eating had a ripple effect on our bodies and stuff like that. What would I do differently next time around? Yeah, I mean, I think definitely take it in more. I think before we're trying to survive, like we're just trying to make sure we get to South Africa in one piece. So I think the first thing I'd do is definitely take more content, and more than that, get SIM cards along the way. Within the section of the journey, there was completely no network. So we're just sitting there in the car, in the bus, praying that our parents hope that we're okay. Yeah, that's what I'd do. I mean, that's what I'd do differently. And then what country am I going to next? What country are we going to next? I think a place that we actually want to do by road now is Victoria Falls. So I personally want to I want to access Victoria Falls from Zimbabwe, not from the Zambia side. So yeah, that's one place. And then if God has it, then Tunisia as well. But not by road, unfortunately. But yeah. That this time we won't do it alone. Like that we won't go the two of us. That will create the same experience for other people to do it.
Yeah, love that.
I'm
Yes,
sorry.
Wendy.
I have
No, it's
one
okay.
thing to add. I think one thing that also surprised Tess and I is how we kept on meeting good people along the journey. Like, wow. Like at the Tanzania Zambia border, when we were almost cornered, like there was this guy who came to us. He's a guard at the border. And he was just like, guys, these guys are robbers and they're going to rob from you. And then he just told us, like, you just do your thing, go and talk to these guys. When we finished, he took us to the bus station, changed our money, booked us a bus, and then put us on the bus for Lusaka the
Yeah.
next morning. We got someone from the bus company we were searching about. We just told him, hey, we don't have somewhere to stay. And that man walked with us like 1 hour looking for a hotel. We didn't find. He brought us back to the bus office. He went back alone. He looked for a place for us. And then he came back and took us. And then in the morning at 3 a.m., he woke us up. Like,
Really?
imagine, like I was telling Tess, like when we were going to the hotel now after he had found one, like this guy would have just entered and locked the door and the worst would have happened.
True.
But he didn't. So it was just amazing how like we just met good people who are willing to help. Yeah, I think it's the
Yeah.
prayers I had. Yeah.
For sure, they did work. And it's amazing how just being kind, because you'd say that's something you will never forget, regardless of how many other kind people you will meet. You'll always remember you had the worst experience, and then this kind human being just came up and helped you. I am so very appreciative of both of you for making the time to have, to just share your experience with us and to share how your journey was, how someone can prepare for that. And it's impressive to just think, if you have about 30,000 shillings, you can go to Southern Africa, literally all the countries, and you'll be fine. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And we look forward to having a conversation with you again when you go to another trip, and hopefully we will tag along.
Honestly, I think something that is worth mentioning, and we discussed this before we started. Whoever you decide to go the trip with, if it's an intimate trip or if it's a group trip, I can't really speak much on it. But if it's a small group of people, I think you really have to have a conversation about the kind of people you are on the road, and the kind of people you are when you're handling different things, because I think that for Wendy and I really helped. And then go for it. I think just go for it. Like me, I didn't know where the money was gonna come from, but it came, and we are here, and we went just like that. And I think also finally investing in the people that you meet in the different countries, I think that will also be super valuable.
I think for me, what I'd like to say is just encouraging guys to travel in Africa. Like personally, for me, I'm that person. When I was like 16, that's the first time I went to Cape Town, and I used to be like, yeah, what's your dream destination? Cape Town. I want to go to Senegal. So just research about African countries and the different destinations, and let's tour our continent. Let's embrace each other and the diversity in our continent. Yeah.
Yes, please, let's tour and learn and be able to appreciate even where you are and appreciate other cultures as well. All right, ladies. Again, thank you so much for your time.